I didn't expect much from the night, just a quiet dinner. A white tablecloth, flickering candle, and the comfort of Hamza's voice. He always made me feel steady. Like the world could crack in half, and he'd still hold it up with one hand. Hamza, or as I called him, Hamda, wasn't flashy. He didn't write poems or bring roses. But he showed up. Every day. On time. With food, with warm tea, with silence that didn't ask me to perform. We met in mid-school, two nobodies in a sea of ambition. I was always nervous, fumbling, unsure. He was quiet but confident, always watching, always knowing when to speak and when to let me be. So when he said he'd booked a reservation, just us. You've earned a slow night, he smiled. I felt lucky. But something felt off. It started at the entrance. The maitre d's smile faltered when she saw me. A flash of recognition, then a whisper to another waiter. Laughter, stifled. Eyes that lingered on my dress like I didn't belong in silk. Hamda didn't notice. Or maybe he did and chose grace over escalation, like always. Then came the table. Right in the center. Too exposed. Everyone could see us. He pulled out my chair. Gentle. Present. But then, her. A woman with perfect hair. Red lips. Too red. She walked by, glanced at me, then whispered to the man beside her, and laughed. I lowered my gaze. My hand trembled when I reached for the menu. Something wasn't right. Hamda looked at me. You okay? I nodded, smiled, lied. Then came the waiter. He didn't hand me a menu. He handed me a folded envelope. Hamda furrowed his brow. What's this? I opened it. Printed screenshots. Blurry photos. A forged email thread. My name, tied to some patient confidentiality breach. A fake accusation. A lie. My chest locked. My throat burned. It was the kind of scandal that could end a career. That could make a hospital wash their hands of you, quietly, swiftly. What is this? I asked. And that's when he said it. Not the waiter. Hamda. And that quiet, grounded voice I used to love. Except now, it cut like glass. Maybe you should go, he said. Loud enough for the table beside us to pause mid-bite. He didn't look angry. He looked resigned. And just like that, I was on the outside. In front of everyone. Frozen. Betrayed. Disbelieved. I left without arguing. Not because I was weak, but because when someone you love, someone who's held your hand through storms, lets go without a fight, you don't chase. You stagger into the cold. The restaurant door hissed shut behind me, muffling the clinking silverware and low jazz. But the sound that stayed with me wasn't the music. It was his voice. Saying the words I never thought I'd hear. Maybe you should go. The wind stung. But not like the stares. Not like the waitress who offered me a glance of pity. Not like the memory of Hamda's hand resting firmly on the table instead of reaching for mine. I stood outside that restaurant for what felt like hours. Not crying. Not calling. Just unraveling. That night, I couldn't sleep. My phone buzzed. Over and over. Texts. Voicemails. Friends. Coworkers. Gossip. I didn't check them. Until one name came up. Dr. Allen. The head of our department. I tapped play on his voicemail, holding my breath. Hamda, I'm sorry to bother you this late. I just wanted to confirm something. That report on Haya, the one with the screenshots? It's fake. We found the original files, untouched. Someone planted false evidence. Haya's name is clean. I know you're close to her. You should tell her. Before this gets worse. My breath caught. He had sent the message to Hamda, not me. And Hamda had known. Before the restaurant, he had known I was innocent. And still, he told me to leave. I didn't cry until then. Because betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's just someone choosing silence. When they were the only voice that could have saved you. I played the voicemail 3 more times. Each time, the truth grew heavier. Hamda, the man I had loved, defended, trusted, chose to let me be humiliated in public. Just to protect his reputation. But the worst part? I still loved him. Some foolish, aching part of me still waited for him to show up at my door. Still imagined him walking into that restaurant, standing up, saying, "She's not the problem." I was the coward. But he didn't. Not that night. Not the next. Not ever. It had been 11 days since the restaurant. 11 days since Hamda asked me to leave. With everyone watching. With everyone whispering. With the truth sitting quietly in his pocket. He didn't come after me. Not once. Not even after that voicemail proved everything. But life has a strange way of circling back. It was a Friday night. There was a charity event. Hosted at the very same restaurant. I didn't want to go. God, I didn't. But Haya was being honored for her community work. The same Haya they had falsely accused. The same woman I nearly lost. She held my hand in the car. "You don't have to prove anything," she said softly. "But if you walk in there tonight, you'll walk in on your terms." I nodded. Not for revenge. Not for show. Just for closure. The restaurant buzzed with life, crystal glasses clinking, soft jazz playing again, like time hadn't moved. I wore the same coat from that night. Same earrings. But something in me was different. I wasn't carrying shame. I was carrying the truth. And that's when I saw him. Hamda. Standing across the room, near the bar, wearing the same navy suit. He looked tired. Not physically. Tired in the way people look when they've spent every night rehearsing apologies but never had the courage to deliver them. His eyes met mine. They widened. He didn't expect to see me. Not like this. Not standing tall. Not smiling beside the very woman I was accused of betraying. He walked over. Slowly. Deliberately. The room didn't quiet, not this time. But the air between us did. "Can we talk?" he asked, voice low. "Please." I stared at him. All the memories came rushing back. The late nights. The promises. The silence when I needed him most. "You knew," I said. "You knew I was innocent." He looked down. "I panicked," he whispered. "My parents were there, people from work. I thought if I sided with you, I'd look." "Look what?" I cut in. "Loyal?" He didn't answer. And I realized something then. It wasn't about me. It never was. Hamda didn't choose betrayal out of malice. He chose it out of fear. But fear doesn't excuse silence. "I'm sorry," he said again. "I know I don't deserve to ask, but if there's any way." I stopped him. "Hamda," I said, steady and clear. "You didn't just let me walk out that night. You let every version of us walk out with me. You don't need to explain anymore. Because I'm not waiting for your apology to heal. I already did." I smiled. Not out of spite, but out of peace. Then I walked away. And this time, I didn't look back. Pushpin presented by the Soul Script, where silence heals and closure speaks louder than regret.